to have you join us on Asset Television News. I am Eugenia Solomon. First, the headlines. Nigeria to attain industrial heights soon. Former President Jonathan wants real independence for INEC. Immigration Service increases passport fees. In other news, in detail. Minister of State for Industries, Senator John Owen Eno, has given insight on how Nigeria can achieve industrial growth and be ahead of other countries within the African sub-region. Eno said the present administration is putting everything in place to achieve the process.
I think that more than once I used the word positioning. How this enables Nigeria's positioning, as that player in the sub-region, that leader. Incidentally, this is about West Africa, but I think that Nigeria's ambition should be the leader in industrialization in Africa. So bringing it down to the West African sub-region, what this summit, does for country is to be that leader, to be that big brother. It gives us a chance to showcase what we are as a people, not just, beyond potentials. It gives us a chance to, for government and the private sector, as well as development partners, have a chance in one room, in one setting, to discuss industrialization, manufacturing, and trade issues as they concern our sub-region. I think that is what it is most of all. And I think that it continues to show, what is achievable, when government, in terms of the policy provider, the private sector, and agencies like DMG, what collaborating together can achieve. How government intends to use, the West African Industrial, Manufacturing and Trade Summit as platform to boost. I think that the platform that this summit provides also gives us a chance to showcase what government activities have been within, the country's industrial growth and development. I just said earlier on that we very soon we're going to unveil a new national industrial policy, which in itself would attempt to make a response to a lot of the constraints. I mentioned that since 2014, we've had the NIRP without a policy. There are quite a lot of development partners that won't speak to us because we lack a policy. So I think that the platform of this summit provides us that opportunity, to announce, most of these initiatives beyond policy, the Industrial Revolution Work Group, and what great work it's doing or it has done in terms of trying to tackle the various obstructions and obstacles and constraints.
According to him, with the exchange rate, the country is doing all it could to make sure it stands on its proper place in the Committee of Nations. Well, former President Goodluck Jonathan has called for reforms in the appointment of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, urging the creation of an independent screening and nomination process to strengthen the Commission's credibility ahead of the 2027 elections. Speaking through Ann Iyonu, Executive Director of the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, at the launch of the National Action Plan for Electoral Reforms in Abuja, Jonathan urged that the current practice where the president nominates the INEC chair fuels doubts about neutrality. He proposed an independent body comprising representatives from the judiciary, civil society, academia, and professional groups to vet candidates and recommend a shortlist for presidential appointments. According to him, such a mechanism would reduce perception of bias, build public trust, and enhance INEC legitimacy. Jonathan's intervention comes as Professor Mahmoud Yakubu's tenure as INEC chairman nears its end in October. Members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities are set to hold congresses to decide their next line of action following the conclusion of its nationwide protest on Tuesday. This comes as the federal government meets to address long-standing agitations over the implementation of the renegotiated 2019 FNG ASU agreement, which triggered nationwide protests across universities on Tuesday. Earlier this year, the President Bola Tinubu administration released 50 billion naira to settle earned academic allowances owed to universities, lecturers, and staff. However, ASU has consistently demanded for commitments on improved salaries, conditions of service, university funding, autonomy, and a review of laws governing the National Universities Commission and the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. Nigeria's oil output has climbed to a new 6-month high, averaging 1.71 million barrels of oil per day in July 2025. This is according to the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. The increase marks a 9.9% year-on-year surge, bringing the country closer to its budgetary and OPEC production targets. The Commission disclosed the latest figures on Thursday on its X platform, noting that the total output comprises 1.507 million barrels per day of crude oil and 204,864 barrels per day of condensates. This represents a steady rise from the 1.69 million barrels per day recorded in June 2025 and a notable improvement from the 1.56 million barrels per day produced in July of the previous year. The Commission attributes the positive trend to a combination of enhanced security measures and improved operational efficiencies across the upstream value chains. The Nigerian Immigration Service has announced an upward review of the cost of obtaining the Nigerian Standard Passport effective September 1st, 2025. According to a statement signed by the Service Public Relations Officer, A.S. Akinlabi, the new fees will apply only to applications made within Nigeria. According to the statement, the review, which only affects passport application fees made in Nigeria, now set a new fees threshold for 32-page with 5-year validity at 100,000 naira and 64-page with 10-year validity at 200,000 naira. However, the statement clarified that application fees for Nigerians in the diaspora remain unchanged at $150 for the 32-page 5-year passport and $230 for the 64-page 10-year passport. The service said the adjustment was aimed at maintaining the quality and integrity of the Nigerian passport while ensuring accessibility for citizens. A court in Equatorial Guinea, this is on the foreign scene, has convicted the son of the country's president of illegally selling off a plane belonging to the national airline. The judge ruled that Ruslan Obiang, one of the sons of President Teodoro Obiang, must serve 6 years in jail unless he compensates the state for the missing aircraft. Supreme Court Press Director Hilario Mitigo told reporters in a WhatsApp message. The court convicted Obiang Nsoe 50, a former director of national carrier Sabre Intercontinental, of selling the ATR 72500 plane to a Spanish company and pocketing the cash. He was placed under house arrest in 2023 on the order of his half-brother, the country's vice president, Teodoro Obiang, also a son of the president. Court ruled that Obiang Nsowe could avoid jail if he paid around $255,000 to the airline, along with damages and a fine to the state. The court acquitted him on separate charges of embezzlement and abuse of office. And with that foreign story, we end the news. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms for more updates and programs. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Eugenia Solomon. Thank you for watching.
Welcome to Asset Television, your best station for news, politics, business, sports and entertainment. Your one-stop channel, Asset